Hey guys, in today's video we're going to look at upgrading the rear axle on the Cherokee XJ. I've changed my axle on the Cherokee to a Ford Ranger one, so in today's video we're going to show you the parts I used and how I done it. I've been researching into a few different axles that would be good swaps for us guys who've got the normal Dana 35 on the rear. I've come across an axle which is fitted to a Ford Ranger TKE. I believe they're 2012 onwards model. I'll put a photo up here so you can see which model I'm on about. They do them in various different ratios. The one I need is a 3.73 ratio, same as the standard diesel XJ in the UK. Spring perches are 44 inches apart, same as the XJ. I'm going to have to custom make the shock mounts. I'm going to have to order a pinion flange to adapt the XJ prop shaft to the Ford pinion. And I'm going to have to get my prop shaft shortened because the nose of the diff is a lot longer. I'll put a list at the end of this video of everything you need to do this swap. But it's a good solid axle. You can get them with electronic lockers as well, like the one I've purchased has got. Maybe I'll look at wiring that at the end of this video. But for now, this video is going to focus on getting the axle on, getting it working, get the handbrake working, get the Jeep drivable again because my Dana 35 has let me down. Let's get on with it. I ordered some Tough Torque 15x8 ET0. Obviously the Ranger axle is about 5 inches wider than the Cherokee axle. So the plan is now to lose 32mm off the offset of my wheels. So these are still 15x8. I got 15x8 on the Jeep now. That should make the wheels sit 32mm further in the arch. I've still got another 1.25 inches to account for, another 32mm. I'm hoping I can make wider arches to accommodate that on the rear. The big question is, will this 15x8 zero offset wheel fit over the drum brake that is fitted to the Ford Ranger rear axle? So I'm going to try that now. So I've got the wheel here, looking good. I was worried that the zero offset would lose a lot of the dish on the wheel, but as you can see it's still a good looking wheel. I've got the drum brake here. It's a big drum brake and we're about to see if it fits. There's not a lot of room in there, but as you can see all the bolt holes are lined up. It's flush against the wheel. So happy, because that means I can use my 33-inch maxis that I've bought, get them mounted on the wheels. Before we start, I'm just plasma cutting some leaf spring clamp plates from 10mm steel, as I forgot to order some. So I'm going to cut these before we start stripping the XJ down. I'm working on the Jeep now. Just got it up in the air, ready to take the axle off. Got my new leaf springs here. Things are starting to look up. I've got the Ranger axle here. I've got a damaged shock mount here, which I'm going to have to repair or cut off and weld on some new shock mounts. We'll have a look at that in a bit. I'm going to run new brake lines, brake pipes, because the Cherokee takes a different size fit in, it's not metric, for where it mounts to the T-piece. Also I need the hoses to reach to the left of the axle. I tried fitting these Imperial unions onto the steel brake pipe, but when I flared the end it split, so I'm just going to make new copper ones. Let's get this on. Okay, first thing to do is remove these handbrake cables. I've started doing this already. Pop the end of the cable out of there. Push these 3 prongs in so it slides out the hole. There's 2 of these, I've done one already. Get that out there. Right, next for this, we're going to remove the 4 8mm headed bolts holding the UJ to the yoke. Get that off and we can keep removing stuff ready to drop the axle. buckling under the pressure.
Nothing works, yeah.
Use this.
To knock this bit.
Yeah, that's it. She's out.
Cool.
Right, next thing I'm going to do, remove the flexible brake line. It's a 10mm brake pipe spanner. It's loose anyway for some reason. I take that off there. There's a little clip holding the flexible line in there. Slide that out. This comes off. Job done. Right, next thing to do, you've got to flip the back seat up in the back of the Jeep. Disconnect the ABS sensors. Pull them through the holes in the floor. And then there's one more thing done. Next thing, I'm going to remove these shock bolts. Glad that came off first time. Shocks are off. Next thing to do, take these U-bolts off. Axle will probably then lower down onto the axle stands we put it on. Lovely job. You can see here the difference in the beefiness of the axle of the Ford one compared to the Dana 35. You can see the width difference. The spring perches are still 44 inches apart. You can see the pinion is off center slightly, but it's not much. You can see how much bigger the Ford axle is than the Dana 35. Good strong upgrade. This ain't gonna be pretty. Steve-O, can you come and push down on this? I can put it down, but obviously it won't be pushing down now. We're pushing like that angle. See what I mean? Unless I put it that way and you want to pull up on it, maybe this isn't a show off exercise. Right, it's turning. It turned a little bit, okay. But whether it actually turned, I don't know. Whether it's snapping, I don't know. In this bit of footage, guys, you can see the shock mounts that I made earlier in the video welded up to the axle. You can see here how the shock will mount to them. If I need to beef them up later on, I can. You can also see the top plates here, which I've plasma cut out of 10mm steel to clamp the leaf springs to the axle. Right guys, I've moved the Jeep outside. We've skipped forward in time a little bit. The axle's on. It's all mounted up. The shocks are mounted. I managed to get the drums so they fit within 15-inch wheels. I had to make these copper brake lines up, I haven't connected them yet. The Ford brake cylinders are metric. I've got a factory, well, braided, extended brake line for the Cherokee going to the axle, then the copper lines going to the brake cylinders. One thing that set me back a few hours was my prop shaft was actually too long. So I've had it shortened. They've cut it along this tube somewhere, welded it. And I bought this flange, which I believe is a 2-2-1369 yoke flange, because my Cherokee, which is quite rare so you need to check your own, but my Cherokee uses a 92mm by 27mm UJ. I think that might have only come on 2001 model, so you may have a different size UJ, in which case you need to get a different yoke flange to mate to this. They make loads of these with the same PCD. These are a 4x108 PCD, equally spaced, so you can buy different flanges for different UJs that mate to this axle. So far so good. Right guys, this bit of footage here is because I had to rebuild the inside of the drum brakes. The axle I bought didn't have the drum brakes complete. So I've taken this bit of footage here, so if anyone needs to do the same, they can see where everything goes. I had to copy one side onto the other. Hi guys, bit of an update. I'm just fitting the handbrake cables now. On the Ford Ranger drum back plate, there's a sleeve which the handbrake cable goes through. I've hammered that sleeve out because it was just pressed in, drilled that hole in the drum plate out to 14mm, and then a Cherokee handbrake fits in it like a glove. Handbrake cable fits in perfect. It reaches the other side for the handbrake lever. I've already done the other side. I've fit the handbrake cables on here, routed them over the axle. What I had to do was use two driver's side, which is right hand side, because I'm in the UK, two driver's side handbrake cables in order for them to reach, as the passenger side one on the Cherokee is very short. I'm going to connect these up now and then we should have handbrake. Happy days. Once you've connected those handbrake cables up, you're going to want to push them into this here. They clip in lovely, obviously, because they're both OEM cables, even though they're both for the driver's side. Then you're going to want to tension this nut. Not too much, just enough tension on it. Jump back in and out of the vehicle, check the tension on the handbrake. Obviously you don't want it to be dragging the handbrake when the handbrake's all the way down, so just keep jumping in and out. You want a few clicks. Check it's not braking for you when it's all the way down. So with our tension now, perfect. Okay guys, the axle's now on. I've been using the Jeep for probably about 4,000 miles on and off road. It's been perfect. Shock mounts have held up as they are. I could beef them up in the future if I get stiffer shocks. But as promised, I'll put a list at the end of this video of everything I used. You may find that you need to change some things. Again, depending what prop shaft is fitted to your Cherokee, there was a few variations. The diesel one in the UK, on mine, the 2001 model at least, is a 1330 series U-joint. But there is also a lot of Cherokees with, I believe, a 1310 series U-joint. But you should check that out before you purchase your pinion flange. So the things you're going to need to ensure the axle you get is from a TKE shape Ford Ranger. I'll put the photo here again. You're going to need to get the same matching ratio as your front axle, in my case 3.73. You're going to have to be prepared to make the shock mounts, custom shock mounts. Quite simple. I used an M16 bolt because the shank diameter on the OEM X-ray shock mount is 16mm. So that's what I used, but there's probably a lot of better options, but that's what I've done and it works fine. You're going to need, if you've got the same size 1330 series U-joint as I have, you're going to need one of those U-joints. You're also going to need a pinion flange. The part number for the one I used is 2-2-1369, and that worked perfectly. You're going to have to be prepared as well to have your prop shaft shortened. There's plenty of shops around here that do it. I used a local shop and they done it no problem for me. I think it cost like £40, and that's where perfectly they balance it as well. Then you're also going to need two 3/8 by 24 UNF brake fittings to mate up to the flexi line, the Cherokee flexi line. Then you're going to need 3/16 copper brake pipe to go along to two M10 by 1 metric brake unions, which fit into the Ford Ranger rear brake cylinders. You're going to need U-bolts for the axle as well, because the Cherokee axle is only about 2.5-inch tube diameter, something like that, and the Ford Ranger one is approximately 4-inch diameter. So you're going to need U-bolts and leaf spring clamp plates to clamp the whole axle to the vehicle. I custom made some clamp plates out of 10mm steel. They've worked great. You could probably use the OEM Ford ones. I didn't have any available, but I'm sure they would work fine. If not, the Cherokee ones won't work because the U-bolt spacing is a lot larger, obviously, to get around the axle. So there's your list. Hopefully that'll get you started. Obviously, the Ford ABS sensors don't plug into the Cherokee nor work correctly, so that's something I'm going to have to look at in a later video, sorting out the ABS system. Also, I'm going to look at in a later video wiring in the electronic diff lock. So if you want to see more videos like this, like and subscribe please, guys. And if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them for you. See you next time, guys.